Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price this Tuesday as we are seeing a daily candle with a new all-time high right now of 68,524. However, we are coming below this major structural resistance level, just sitting at that $67,000 level right now. And so we have a lot to talk about today to assume what direction Bitcoin wants to head towards and whether or not we're going to fulfill the price target of $72,000 from the breakout of this bullish symmetrical triangle. And then, of course, today we have some revolving parts to address, including the gold to Bitcoin chart forming a double bottom so far, but it's yet to breach the low that was set here on the 20th of October at 2,669. We are at 2,670, which tells me that this actually is a very important chart to watch, because if we see Bitcoin break down below this level and show strength against gold, this is a positive indicator that there is fuel in the tank for Bitcoin to continue further into price discovery. But if we do not breach this low, that could be a problem for the bulls in the short term at least. And of course, that's going to be something to monitor here in the next 24 to 48 hours, which is why I wanted to just throw that puzzle piece out there from the start. And then we'll talk about what's happening to Ethereum, because the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is pulling back, coming down today to test the monthly open, sitting right around that 70,000 Satoshi level. And this is the chart that really matters, not just for the Ethereum to US dollar price, but also for the altcoins that are factored into the total cryptocurrency market cap outside of Ethereum and Bitcoin. So we definitely want to talk about these revolving parts. We'll quickly graze over traditional markets as well to look at the environment outside of Bitcoin, as we always do here on the Snipers channel, being a 4-dimensional channel. But let's just first start looking at the daily time frame, talk about volume. We still have descending volume with this breakout, so we're not necessarily seeing institutional participation with this move to the upside just yet. And if we go into the 6-hour chart, which we all know here on the Snipers channel is our institutional time frame, we have yet to also see the type of volume that we've been looking for, which is something that could at least surpass the type of volume that we initially saw to take Bitcoin to the previous all-time high on October 20th when we first tested the $67,000 level. And so that's something to watch when it comes to the volume. But we can actually start looking at some of the more micro time frames, like even the 15-minute chart, because now we're starting to test this market structural level. And so we go into the 15-minute chart. Notice how we saw a spike of sell pressure come in just recently, and that's why I had to get this video out to you guys, because this is what broke the market structure support level, which of course, once you break a structure and it was a previous resistance, it should turn into support. So at this point, we could start assuming that we have a range of the $67,000 and $64,855 level, as we talked about yesterday. And these are going to be the most important levels for Bitcoin when it comes to assuming what the next move is going to be. And if we stay below 67,000 and we start to close 4-hour candles below this level, that could be the first confirmation that there's going to be a possibility of a retest of 64,855. Now we get to 64,855, we want to start monitoring what the small time frames look like, because if we bounce at this level and get back above 67,000, that could be the final move to then see continued price discovery towards $72,000. If we get back above 67,000 now, that could even be a better scenario for us to get to 72,000. But if we breach 64,855, then what we'll want to monitor is this weekly open at 63,400, because it shows confluence with this market structural support level, which was a previous resistance level. And that's going to be that bullish symmetrical triangle that Bitcoin has recently broke out from. And of course, that's going to be, in my opinion, one of the most important levels for Bitcoin if we see any further price action to the downside. Now, when it comes to altcoins, we have to realize that the most important time to monitor the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart and the Bitcoin dominance chart is when Bitcoin is more volatile, because that's going to give us an idea of the more macro perspective of the market. And with this move to the upside, we have to start assuming that when Bitcoin is moving to the upside, the altcoins do not immediately follow. And that is an important puzzle piece, because with the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, notice how we pulled back after Bitcoin started to move to the upside, which means that it probably took some capital from Ethereum moving into Bitcoin to give Bitcoin the room to see price discovery. But the other puzzle piece that we discussed yesterday was the total cryptocurrency market cap forming new all-time highs even today with our daily candle, which tells us that there's certainly new money coming into the market. It's not just altcoins moving into Bitcoin that is bringing the overall price up, but it's also new money coming into most likely some of these larger projects like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, and so forth. And the chart that really will matter for altcoins is going to be the one that factors in all of the top 100 outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, because this one typically will follow the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, and this has also pulled back with this move to the upside. And so what that tells us is that Bitcoin dominance is probably starting to rise, and that's exactly what we see here with the Bitcoin dominance chart coming up right now, testing itself above the monthly open, and we know that the Bitcoin dominance chart is potentially in the early stages of a reversal. So what that tells us is that Bitcoin right now is certainly still testing that thesis that it is in an early stage of a reversal, being the fact that we are seeing upside with Bitcoin dominance with this move that Bitcoin has just recently saw today to see the new all-time high. Now, with Bitcoin surpassing the market cap of Tesla and with traditional markets looking strong like the S&P 500, I do want to talk about the environment outside of Bitcoin right now, because the DXY is calm, but we're still above a major support level. So it's not showing weakness, it's extremely neutral, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's why that the cryptocurrency market is able to see some new highs, and S&P 500 also sitting at its all-time highs right now. And so that tells us that there's calmness into this week, but that certainly could potentially change here. So we will continue to monitor that, but so far things are looking good on the environment outside of Bitcoin. Even Japan above all daily moving averages. And then we go into the Chinese markets. It's still showing some weakness, but it's not necessarily going further down. It's just consolidating. And so overall, I think the environment does look good outside of Bitcoin. Gold still calm, but at a very important level where if we continue to see price action to the upside for gold, especially if we get above 1840, that could be something that we need to address. And I think that the most interesting aspect of today's video is going to be this gold to Bitcoin chart that is now coming down to test the lows that were set on October 20th. And remember, I was very specific about what I was watching here. I wanted to see if we were going to break the October 20th lows. And so I don't think it's a coincidence right now that we are literally 1 unit away from potentially breaking this low. And our daily candle low was just above the October 20th low. And so that tells us that this certainly is something that institutions are probably watching, because watching the value of Bitcoin against gold certainly was the reason we were able to predict the April 14th short-term top as we got back above this 50-day moving average. So this is going to be a very good indicator of the fuel left for this breakout with Bitcoin in price discovery. And of course, with the Ethereum price, I do want to quickly just graze over this. We are above all major resistance levels in price discovery, but we really want to start to see the Ethereum and the Bitcoin chart show some strength soon if we want to assume that it's not going to have to rely on Bitcoin to see continued upside. And so this is going to be something to monitor here at the monthly open, as I mentioned earlier, at 70,000 Satoshis. If we break below that, that could be a sign of a more macro downtrend. But if we start to see price action back above the weekly open at 63,200, that could be a very positive sign for Ethereum, showing that it's going to continue to price discovery, and it doesn't necessarily have to rely on Ethereum. And of course, a lot of you guys in the Discord group have been doing extremely well with altcoins, and that happens when Bitcoin is consolidating. We can still assume that we're in a consolidation phase. If we go into our Discord, you can see here, Sayad Mashoud said 102% profit with his Link USDT long trade. We've been sending out tons of long trades. We had a very successful week of trades last week and a ton of altcoins that we took advantage of, including Uniswap, Audio BTC, Cardano, and those type of coins. You know, we have the best cryptocurrency Discord group in the world, and I appreciate each and every one of you that participate and contribute in our community. And it's going to be interesting to see here over the next 24 hours with Bitcoin forming a new all-time high today with our daily candle and 8 hours left to go. Are we going to be able to see a close above 67,000? That's going to be the sign of strength. But if we start to come down, let's just monitor 64,855. As long as we don't cross below that level, things are looking extremely good for Bitcoin to see the fulfillment of the price target that we're expecting right around that $72,000 level based on the market structural breakout that we have. I think that's about it for today, snipers. I appreciate each and every one of you, as I've mentioned before. Thank you for tuning into the Snipers channel today. I hope you enjoyed today's analysis, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Snipers out.